Representative Bryant, thanks so much for being with us. I know it's a busy time, especially for anyone who's working on public education here in Texas.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about this recent hearing that you all had there on the Committee on Public Education. There have been many years here now in Texas where we haven't increased the amount per student that Texas is paying for public school education. And we expected these superintendents to get up there and ask for some big numbers, and we didn't get that.
Well, the superintendents associations year after year just kind of go along to get along. I think the advocacy for public education has to come from the elected members of the House like myself. Texas is 44th in the nation in its effort in the area of public education.
We heard this figure thrown out there in the committee from the bill that's being considered, where they would increase the allotment per student by $220. Right now, it's at $6,160 per year per public school student. It's been that way since 2019. It hasn't inched up at all, even though we've been going through a ton of inflation, as you mentioned there. A $220 increase doesn't sound like it would be enough, perhaps.
It's not even close to enough. It takes $1,340 in additional money to just keep up with inflation. And what's very disappointing is that we have the money. We have record surpluses 2 years in a row now. There's plenty of money to meet our responsibilities. If we move Texas from 44th in the nation to 25th, it would take the entire surplus. And we're not even advocating that be done this year. We're talking about trying to keep up with inflation, because we know that our objectives are going to be limited due to the fact that the Democrats are in the minority in the House. But it would take $30 billion to move Texas from 44th to 25th, which means that the surpluses are not a result of good management. They're a result of underfunding public education.
And when you consider that, again, let's think about that basic allotment per student per year. It's $6,100 something here that we're talking about here in Texas. The Senate just passed a bill for private school vouchers that would give 10,000 taxpayer dollars per student per year to go to private schools. A pretty big drop off there.
That's correct. And the House bill is $11,160. So it's even more than that. It's a question of priorities. We're fighting for public education, which educates 5,500,000 kids. And the private schools and the homeschoolers combined total up about 900,000 only. So we're trying hard to try to make our public schools what the public expects them to be.
Has there been any movement behind the scenes? Because we're hearing this $220 extra per student. We're hearing from a number of members on the committee, including yourself, who say that's paltry. It's not nearly enough. Have you seen any movement on the inside on that number at this point? And what do you think happens from here?
No, I've seen no movement whatsoever. If they were serious about funding public education, they would have introduced a bill that seriously increased funding for public education.
Well, as you mentioned, though, you're in the Democratic minority there in the Texas House. There's very little, I think, from at least from the outside, that it looks like you would be able to do to change this. Is this going to get through like this? Does it make it all the way through?
Well, there's 88 Republicans and 62 Democrats in the House. We have to have help from the outside. We have to have people calling the representatives, urging them to vote for public education, and hope that we'll pick up some support.
Representative John Bryant from Dallas, thanks so much for taking the time. This is one obviously we'll be following closely, as so many people in the state will be as well. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.